What's going on, guys? I'm Dominic Masiello with Budget Plants, and today I want to chat about a question that I get a lot is, what are the best hedge plants for privacy? I want to go over my top three. We're going to look at Podocarpus, Ligustrum, and Dodonaea. We're going to compare and contrast and kind of look at different growing capabilities of each and different characteristics and color and all that fun stuff. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, let's talk about the first one, Podocarpus gracilior, commonly known as Fern Pine. So there's a few different options for Podocarpus. There's the Podocarpus henkelii, which is a little bit more robust and kind of a more rigid leaf, darker green. There's the Podocarpus icy blue, but for today we're going to talk about Podocarpus gracilior. It's the most commonly seen of the Podocarpus, and therefore it's the most readily available. Now the foliage of the Podocarpus is really cool. It's got these long, slender leaves that kind of weep over, and it's kind of fern-like, so hence the name Fern Pine. The color is a really nice, rich, medium green tone, just kind of goes with everything. Now, the new growth comes out a really cool looking limey green that's much brighter than the older growth, so you get that fun contrasting thing going on there with the foliage. It's really drought tolerant, it's pretty disease resistant, and it shapes really nicely. It stays upright and rigid, so you can kind of get a nice tight trim on it. It's gonna get up to about 15, 20 feet in height or so, but most folks keep it down between 6 to 10 feet, kind of just depending on what you want to screen. Is it a block wall, a side of a building, or your neighbor's nasty looking RV that's parked in the driveway? Whatever you want to screen, this plant will definitely do it. And I would say probably the lowest maintenance out of the three that we're talking about today. Now, a second way you can use Podocarpus besides a hedge is you can actually grow it into a very nice looking shade tree. It's got a pretty predictable upright growth, standard, classic looking canopy, and the foliage is evergreen. So, you're not gonna lose the foliage in the fall and winter. So it's actually a very versatile plant. I would still say that the best use for the Podocarpus, however, is a hedge. And if you want that look, you're gonna wanna plant them about 3 feet apart. And over time, they're gonna just grow together and create that really solid, dense privacy screen that everybody wants. Okay, now let's switch gears over to Ligustrum japonicum, commonly known as Japanese privet. It's got great foliage, great color tone, and one of my favorite aspects of the Japanese privet is that it blooms. Now the Podocarpus does bloom as well, but it's pretty inconspicuous as compared to the Japanese privet, which has this just creamy white, beautiful bloom that covers the plant in spring and summer. And now here's the catch to that. You have to let it grow out enough to bloom. So obviously, if you keep it shaped nice and tight all the time, it's gonna bloom much, much less because you're gonna cut all the buds off. But if you let it go just a little bit more, take on a little bit more of a natural form in spring and summer, it's gonna bloom and you're gonna love it. It's gonna be awesome. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, okay, come on, the Ligustrum as a hedge, I mean, that's so dated, it's passé. A lot of us are jaded from, seeing it here, there, and everywhere, all around in our neighborhoods. But I'm telling you guys, if you give it the proper care and attention that it needs, it's gonna look awesome for you. It's gonna be a great privacy hedge. It'll get up to anywhere from about 10 to 12 feet max, and it'll screen those property lines. It'll screen sides of buildings, and the foliage is very dense. It's just one of those great classic looking hedge plants. You really can't go wrong with it. And once it's established, it's really drought tolerant. It's also disease resistant. I mean, this plant, it's just nice. It's just a good plant to use if you're like, well, I don't know what hedge plant to use. This is a good default plant. It's really easy to grow. A lot of people have great success with this plant as a hedge. It's adaptable to soil types. It's drought tolerant once established. So if you do end up killing it, we have to have a talk. Okay, moving along to hedge plant number 3, Dodonaea viscosa purpurea. Dodonaea, Dodonaea, tomato, potato, that whole thing. It's commonly known as purple-leafed hop bush, or sometimes hop seed, or I've heard a few. Now, for those of you that are familiar with Dodonaea, you probably haven't seen it as a hedge all that often, but I'm telling you, it can make a really awesome hedge plant because of its super unique foliage. It's got that dark bronze kind of contrasting against the green tones of the plant. So it's something that's just unique and different that you don't see everywhere. The more sun it gets, the more vibrant the foliage is gonna be. So let's consider this one a full sun plant. And the bloom time is insignificant, so don't let that, weigh in too much on your thoughts about it. Really, the dynamics of the Dodonaea is in its foliage. It's super drought tolerant. I would consider this a low water use plant, so great for folks in So Cal here. And it is evergreen. I've used it a lot in my own designs and it shapes really well. It's gonna get to about 10 to 15 feet tall max. It has a nice density to the foliage and it's very, very hardy down to about 15 to 20 degrees or so. Now, one really cool notable thing about the Dodonaea is the fact that you can also use it as a small accent tree, flanking an entry or highlighting a column or a piece of architecture. So it is a really versatile plant in regards to how you can use it and how you can shape it. It's gonna lend itself a little more towards that southwestern, California native-y, drought tolerant type of design style, as opposed to, let's say, the Podocarpus and the Ligustrum. That's gonna be a little bit more on the traditional side of things. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, what is my personal favorite? And I gotta go with the Dodonaea. I'm telling you, it's just a great all-around plant, super unique. It's not one that you see everywhere, and I've had great success with it in my designs, both as a hedge plant and as a single specimen tree. So I'm gonna go with Dodonaea as my top preference for a hedge plant. Okay guys, I really hope this information was helpful to you. If you're not there already, go to budgetplants.com. We've got tons of other plants and information, and of course you can buy these on there. I mean, who doesn't love shopping online, right? So check it out, budgetplants.com. I'm Dominic Masiello. Thank you guys for watching and happy planting.